Uh, okay, so Matt, tell me a little about how you ended up in New York City and kind of your experience of just starting to meet people here.
Yeah, so actually it's kind of surreal. Like after I graduated college, I did what most college kids do. I spent a little bit of time like living at home, kind of just looking around like where did I want to move, that sort of thing. I had some other places in mind, such as like Los Angeles, Miami, maybe San Francisco. But after kind of like visiting all the different places, I kind of began to hone in on like, New York City. Like I've been there a few times, it's like the center of the universe. There's everything there. And I was kind of like, okay, like New York City is where I definitely want to kind of, move out. And if I'm gonna lease an apartment, kind of be out on my own, I want it to be somewhere that I really want to be. And at this point, I'm 23 years old, so I that's kind of like the dream. Like I wanted to, I set my eyes on the target that I wanted to get a job in Midtown Manhattan. I wanted to live in Manhattan, young 20s, that sort of thing. So I began to interview with a bunch of different companies. This is like January of 2020, so a
Mhm.
little over a couple of years ago. So I was interviewing with companies like January, February, and then I decided on like I accepted one specific role like second week of March. And our office was going to be now, of course, this is 2020, right? Like right before the shutdown of the city. So like I was so excited. I had my eyes set on the target, like young 20s, work out of Manhattan, like sign this new job, like sign the contract and everything, like second week of March, and was going to be working at a Midtown Manhattan, like in Penn Plaza. And so I wanted to accept the job first before I actually like decide to sign a lease for an apartment. Well, anyways, like I had apartments, circulating, ones that I was going to move into. And then, second week of March or whatever, I accept the offer for this position and I get a call from the hiring manager like 2 days later, basically telling me the gist of like, yeah, like, the city's shutting down, like we're moving completely remote. We don't know like what we're gonna do until then. And like my initial start date was gonna be like April 1st or April 4th or something like that. And so they're like, we have to get like all of your paperwork in because we're moving, like we're literally barricading the office, like getting out, like moving completely remote. So if we don't get your stuff in, like you won't even be able to start remote like April 1st or 4th or whatever it was. So it's kind of at this point, I was like, oh my God, like I had my eyes set on this target. It got stripped away from me for a little bit. Um, so I actually moved to our vacation house in New Jersey just for the time being, because it was really like uncertain at that point in time. Like, were we gonna go into the office? Was it gonna open back up again? Like the whole world was very, very volatile at that point. So I stayed at our New Jersey house for a few months, kind of like because I grew up in upstate, by the way, I should have said that. So our New Jersey house is closer to New York City. So I was like, okay, like if it happens that we have to go into the office a couple times a week, like I'll be closer, that sort of thing. Which actually never really did happen. So I kind of like lived the nomad life a little bit. Like I stayed in our Jersey house until like maybe September. So this is like April to like September. I stayed in New Jersey, and then I kind of went like digital nomad where I moved down to Miami. I spent 2 months in Miami, which actually the OneRoof crew is down in Miami now too. So I spent 2 months in Miami, kind of just staying in Airbnbs and stuff. Went home for Christmas, and then like the city was still really shut down at this point, but I actually still did visit a couple times like that summer because I still really wanted to like move here. I still wanted to really like keep tabs on like what the economy was like and the living situation and stuff. So, anyways, like back to my nomad phase, I spent time in Miami. I went to Panama City Beach, Florida. I went to Charlotte for a month, and then so now at this point, it's like I think February or March of 2021, and it's kind of like getting to the point where it's like, like being a digital nomad working remote. It sounds really, really cool, but like when you're kind of going from one spot to the next, and then it's
Yeah.
like you're trying to get situated, like it's a lot of stress. You got to think about like where you're going to get your meals, like what the Wi-Fi is going to be like, how you're going to work, and like
Mhm.
it's just it's a pain. It sounds cool, but it's actually a pain. So it caught up to me around like February, March or whatever of like 2021 last year. So at that point I was like, all right, like no more nomading. Like I actually want to like sit down and like and settle somewhere. But I want it to be like, like I said a second ago, I want it to be somewhere that I actually enjoy being, that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
that point, I was like, all right, like I always wanted to live in New York City. It seems like it's opening up a little bit more. So at that point, kind of coming like full circle, like 1 year later after the shutdown, I was starting to open up a little bit more. And I was wanting to like actually get a real place instead of nomading anymore. So that's when I began looking at apartments and stuff. I went on actually like I think digs. So I was looking for roommates too. Like Facebook groups and like a couple softwares like digs.co and like Roomie Match and stuff. Like so it's really going into like actually moving into the city, finding roommates, like that sort of thing. I actually met my roommate on some platform called digs.co, and then we kind of had a phone call. We got along really, really well. And then we decided like, yeah, like I'm down to apartment hunt with you. Like, let's look for some places. Like, here's some of the things that I want, like big building, nice view outside, that sort of thing. And then began searching for apartments together. And then we moved in, I think like May 1st of 2021.
Yeah.
Kind of surreal how like I really wanted to do it in 2020, and then it shut down, and then like fast forward like a year later in like 2021, it's like, all right, I think I'll give this another shot again.
Yeah. And with the experience of being a digital nomad, what was your experience with like community versus loneliness in that point?
Honestly, yeah. So like the first time I moved, like New Jersey is a vacation house. So when I was like being a nomad there, I guess we own that house. So over the summer, it wasn't really like that bad because I would drive to like Long Beach Island and like I could meet people there, whether it's at like bars or whatever. You can kind of be a little bit more social. But like in like April or May before like the touristy season, like it's pretty lonely. Like just living
Yeah.
by myself. Like I drive to the beach by myself and like go for runs. Like just something that I could get out and like do stuff. And same thing in like Miami. Actually, I didn't even really meet that many people in Miami when I nomaded it there because I was like really focused on like work and stuff like that and like figuring out where to live. It's almost like when you are nomading it, it is kind of hard to like also focus time on like socializing because you're also trying to
Mhm.
focus on work and like where to go next and that sort of thing. So I actually didn't even really meet people like in Miami when I was nomading it. And then
Yeah.
I guess like when I moved to New York, there were some people that were on more of like a hybrid schedule that were like kind of in the city but not really in the city, like they were kind of still like living at home, and like if they were in the city it was just for like a work day like during the middle of the week or something like that. But I don't even think a lot of them had apartments or stuff, so they weren't here on the weekends. So yeah, like the first couple weeks that I actually moved to New York, like I was traveling a couple weeks, like my first 2 weekends I wasn't even here, so didn't really think much of it. But then like after that, it was kind of like, I came here and like it's like I'm alone, right? And I was like, so what do I do? Like, where do I go meet people? That sort of thing. So that's kind of when I began, like most people, I began to search on like Google, like places where people congregate and that sort of thing, like how to actually like meet people when you move into a city and there's not really that many people that you know in a big city. Like you'd be surprised, right? It's like a massive city, and like you're wondering like where you can actually like meet people, yet there's people everywhere, like that sort of
Mhm.
thing, right? But like knowing where to go, what to do, that sort of thing. So yeah, I was like reading articles. I did go on like Bumble BFF and stuff like that. And then after reading like one article, that's where I found the app called OneRoof. And so I downloaded the app, put in like my building's credentials or whatever. I saw we actually didn't have a chat like set up in our building yet. So I reached out to the support team at OneRoof, and then they got back to me and said like, "Hey Matt, your building doesn't have a chat set up yet, but if you want, like we can set one up for you." And they were super warm and welcoming too. They're like, after we set one up, like we'd actually really like to, jump on a call with you and talk about ways that we can really like grow the community within your building.
Yeah.
So yeah, after like we set up chat, me and the OneRoof team like talked about different ways that we can get like the first initial bout of people to actually like join the platform along like with us. and then ways we can kind of get more people to join over time, just because like, the social proof thing, and it's kind of like people see people are doing this and more people are likely to join, as opposed to if there's just like a few people on the platform. So yeah, like we got more people to join, and then after that, I mean, we did things with like mailers and stuff like that, and then eventually, like within a couple months, I think we had like 300 people in our building.
Whoa, so you have a big building.
Two towers, yeah. Like so I'm like right here in one tower, like directly across from me is like another tower, and there's like a terrace that connects the two, and each one has like 42 floors each. So there's like 84 floors total between two buildings, like full floor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, tell me, I know you started to host people and like get people together on your roof and doing events. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, so when we first like kind of started the chat, we kind of encouraged people to like introduce themselves a little bit in the main general chat, like say maybe where you're from, where you were before moving to New York, or where you were before like moving into this building, and like an interesting fact or something about you. So there was kind of like some conversations and stuff like circulating in the main chat, but now it's like, okay, like let's not be like weird and just text each other like in a chat. Like let's actually like meet each other live in person. So we are kind of talking about, well, we have like a rooftop, and if the weather's getting really, really nice, like it's May or June. I think it's like mid-June at this point. And yeah, people wanted to like go to the rooftop and stuff. So we organized like days, like we create like a poll or something in the chat, like, give this like reply to this chat right here with like a check mark emoji for Saturday, and like I don't know, like a circle or whatever type, or thumbs up emoji for like Sunday or something like that. And basically we would just, vote on which date we wanted to go there. And then, yeah, like we got a lot of people to go. Like the first time we did it, there was maybe like, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 people, like
That's
pretty good,
incredible.
pretty good showing. Yeah. Like it was kind of like at first we get there. Ironically, actually, I'll tell you this. So I was like the first person that went there, and I saw like a group of people at another table. So like our rooftop's pretty large. So like there's one table here, like I'm kind of like I go out here, and then I like walk up to these people. I was like, oh, maybe these are like OneRoof people. I go up to them. It's like, hey, like, are you guys like on the app or whatever? They weren't. I was like, oh, but you live in the building, right? So like already meeting people that like weren't even on the app, and then they got on the app, and then like all the other people that were on the app like come and join, and then now like we have like this big group of people up there who like didn't know each other initially, and then now it's like the talk of the chat. It's kind of like there's like this big fiasco like within the OneRoof app of like, you got to be there, like you're gonna get FOMO if you don't come to the rooftop with all your neighbors or something like
that.
So like
I love that. And that it's like, oh, it's a super easy way to start a conversation on that day of like, oh, are you here for the thing? Doesn't matter if they are or not. It's just like permission to start a conversation.
Like, yeah, like just a curiosity, some type of like, and we're both neighbors, right? So like how that kind of segues into a different kind of conversation.
So great. Well, what happened as a result of that event? Like it sounded like it led to some other stuff after that.
So yeah, like we did the first event, it was pretty good showing, and then we decided to do like a few more of those afterwards to eventually like, we do it like maybe even Saturday and Sunday. Like I remember there was one that we did where one of our neighbors, his name is Dan, came up there. He has like this giant speaker, and he also has a DJ table too. So like we got like someone with a big speaker and a DJ table up there, and like DJing and like all hanging out and stuff. The music's going. It was like pretty cool. This time, like I don't know, there had to have been like 30 plus people there. So like it's kind of like the congregation on the rooftop got like bigger and bigger as we began to like do it more and more, and like more people began to like join and interact with the app and stuff. So at that point, we began to think like, okay, like we're actually like pretty good at this. So we wanted to do something like this. Was very almost unorganized. It was kind of like, hey, like we all live in this building, so let's just show up at the rooftop at these times or whatever. Yeah. Now our building does. So this is when we began to think about throwing like a quote unquote like actual event with like a name, So that's when we began to look into like renting or reserving our rooftop. We found out we can't really do that for the weekend. for whatever reasons, you can only really rent our rooftop like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever, and it closes at a certain time. So we began to like kind of think like, hey, we have this awesome community. Like there may not be ways that we can like do this thing we're trying to accomplish like within the building, but like why don't we just focus on taking this really strong, empowering community that we've already built, and like maybe we can get these people to like go somewhere where we can actually accomplish what it is we want to do.
Which is party.
Exactly. It's like, okay, we can't do it here, but let's get the people
Yeah.
together and like go somewhere else, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Now it's like it's not even just like your neighbors you're with, like hanging as just a neighborhood get together, if that makes sense. It's almost like you're building powerful bonds and friendships with people where you would hang out with them somewhere besides your building.
Yeah.
And a lot of us doing it. Like it got to the point where like a lot of my best friends in the city now like are neighbors. Like I wouldn't say they're like in the acquaintances or like co-workers, like, insert your terminology right there. Like they're like, best friends, like people I would go do other things with, like irrelevant of this building or anything. Like I'd go travel with them, that sort of thing. So yeah, like once that bond was kind of like strengthened between a lot of us, we were looking at like events and stuff to go, and we went to actually this place called the DL on the Lower East Side, like back in
At the Delancey or a different place?
I think it's just called the DL.
The DL. Okay.
Yeah. So we did like an event, like we actually promoted it like on our chat, like, to reserve tickets. It comes with like, we'll have our own table there, and like there's bottles that will come as a part of like buying tickets and stuff, and like the event and whatnot. And yeah, we got everyone to show up at the DL, and we had like our own little congregation somewhere else. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Tell me more about like what have you seen happen with neighbors, of like friendships forming, romances budding, work colleagues happening? What happened there?
I'd say, yeah, like I've seen people that, were friends that then like entered like a romance and like traveled with one another. I've seen others who like started like business projects together, like namely like me and some of my neighbors like actually plan events and stuff, and we engage in like actual like business entrepreneurship like together. So actual like strategic partnerships forming together as a result of just the proximity of the neighborhood, that sort of thing. And like I said, like romances and other people that just like go beyond just like the acquaintance or neighbor category, where it's actually like, you hang out beyond the neighborhood as well. So it's like that point where people who you maybe wouldn't have met, in the past, are now like really, really good friends of yours.
I love it. This makes me so happy.
Very wild, yeah.
These stories fuel my soul. So when before you started doing this, were you worried about anything when you were first bringing people together?
I think a little bit, yeah, like anything like that. There's kind of just like, is it actually going to work? Like, I can try it, like anything. Like I actually haven't seen this done before. We kind of, I think the app was actually really, really new. I think it started like in January of last year. So we were kind of one of the first, like our building was one of the first buildings that really like grew a big community, kind of that like we talk about now. So like I say that because there wasn't really that much like documented evidence of like this actually being as successful as like it actually became. So yeah, there might have been a little bit of a worry, like, is this actually going to be worth time, like investing like time, energy, resources, whatever in this? Like, am I actually going to meet people? And not only that, like, are you going to meet people, but like, are the people that you meet, are they actually going to be like cool people that like talk about? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm thinking about.
Meet people that like, I don't know, like nobody's perfect, right? But like some people are harder to get along with. Some people are more like diplomatic and stuff, like very easygoing, that sort of thing. But you never know like what you're actually going to get when you're meeting people that you don't know.
Yeah.
If you're being introduced to someone like a mutual friend, that sort of thing, it's a lot easier. But when it's going into like a complete, like almost cold community where like no one might really know each other that much, it's a lot different. You don't know what it's going to be like, what the people are going to be like, that sort of thing. So I'd say, yeah, there was like maybe a little bit of worry, but I mean, that sizzled out like really, really quickly. It was
Yeah.
like the first couple of weeks, like I moved into the city. Like I said, I was traveling, but then I came back, started the chat, and like literally like 2 weeks later, we were like doing rooftop get-togethers, and like all the people were super cool. Like we exchanged like Instagram profiles and stuff, and we're like sending memes to each other like same day.
Wow.
So I was like, all right, like I like these
All
people,
right.
these
Okay.
are my homies.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. And just like kudos to you for being so proactive so quickly. Like I feel like a lot of people move to a new place and just kind of sit with that feeling of loneliness and don't do anything about it. And the fact that you were like, I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see what happens. But I think also that it makes sense to me that the people who you met were cool because it's the people who kind of self-selected into a neighbor group chat. And like the super curmudgeonly people probably just don't want to join the neighbor group chat.
That is true. Like the people who don't really want to like socialize or be like, yeah, like you have to almost be outgoing and like want
Mhm.
to meet people to actually enroll yourself within that community. Like if you're
Yeah.
very detached or whatever, like, it's not like anybody is forcing you to do this and you don't want to do it. So there's
Yeah.
that, and that like the people who actually do join like are kind of joining based on their own merit and the fact that like they actually want to meet people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I guess two last questions for you.
Yeah.
One, is there anything coming up that like you'd want to invite people outside of your building to?
Outside, I mean, well,
Yeah.
for whoever's watching this now,
Yeah.
actually, so someone, like I said, I like did like business partnerships and stuff with like another neighbor. Actually, we are doing an event on the east side called the Gotham Gala. So actually, it's a charity event. Like we're selling tickets for it. Still selling tickets, and so it'll be on the east side. Maybe there's like a link or something where like I can like after you post this or something, I can send you the link.
Yeah. Send me the link.
But yeah, basically it's like a charity event, but very, imagine like the intersection, and like I'm not selling here by the way, or doing some
Sell
marketing.
it. It's for charity. Sell it.
Experience luxury and ambiance like you've never experienced it
Yes.
before. All of the
Yes.
glamour served to you on a platinum platter. But
Amazing.
basically, yeah, like black tie event almost. Like guys will dress in like suits or very formal.
Yeah.
Girls will wear like dresses and stuff. There's a red carpet, professional photography, like lots of vendors and stuff of really good like drinks, really
Yeah.
good food, like appetizers and stuff. And all of the proceeds go directly towards benefiting the Guide Dog Foundation, which is do you know the Guide Dog Foundation?
I mean, I just love a guide dog. So
Okay, yeah. So basically, like, don't quote me on this exact statistic, but like I mean, usually it costs like over 50,000 to train a service dog and like give them to someone. Like,
yeah.
that's a lot. And the Guide Dog Foundation is, I don't know, like trained like thousands of dogs and given them to people who like need like service dogs, guide dogs, like those who are blind or like have trouble with their vision or like have other special needs where like a service dog, a guide dog would be beneficial to them, like help them get their needs met, like improve the quality of their life. So basically that's what the Guide Dog Foundation does, is they
Yeah.
provide dogs, like trained dogs, free of charge. So people don't have to pay 50,000 to get the guide dog, right?
Mhm.
Provide the dog free of charge to those in need. So really all the proceeds that were going towards this event, like all the tickets that we're selling, go directly towards the Guide Dog Foundation. So not only are you like contributing to increasing the quality of life for those in need, you'll also have the opportunity to like dress very formal, which is always super
You
fun.
get to show out.
Yeah,
Amazing.
get professional photos of yourself taken as well. Enjoy
Great
like
for dating
eating
apps.
good. Yeah, exactly. Never like you look like a total boss. Okay, high status,
Mhm.
and yeah, really good like drinks and apps and all of that.
Amazing. And if you mind me asking, feel free to not answer. Why does this cause matter to you?
Honestly, like for me, like it's not really about like anything like entrepreneurial or whatever. Like there's a strong drive to kind of create income and stuff, and like that's really fun for yourself, but ultimately like you want to see how you can take that, like for instance, let's just say you create a really high income, build a really big bulk of cash for yourself. Like just holding it to yourself isn't like that fun. How can you take it and like maybe put it into like philanthropic ventures or something like that, or do it in a way that, you know, basically contributes to the greater good, like something outside of yourself. And whenever like you can do that, it's really, really fulfilling. So for me, like I'm always looking for ways like I can take my efforts, my whatever, my income, my skills, my resources, my connections, like the things that I have, like what type of value do I have? And like, how can I give that to other people, to other causes in a way that contributes to the greater good? And so like being in a position where I can do this now, like, you know, put together this event, like I help market the event and stuff. It's really fulfilling to be able to see like those efforts of like, you know, just the skill sets and the money and things that went into it, and seeing how that kind of can transcend beyond you and contribute to the greater good. So it's really fulfilling to do that.
Yeah,
I'm
of
also going to be
course.
running in the New York City Marathon too, like in this fall for charity too. So like all of that, like anything up that alley, it's totally up my alley. Like
Love it. Well-rounded. Well, really, I just have one last question for you, which
yeah.
is if someone's considering being a super neighbor in their building and like the group chat hasn't started yet, they're maybe feeling nervous about it, what would you tell them?
I would tell them like if they're nervous about doing it, or you said interested in being like a super neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly like I would just do it. Like
Yeah.
no matter what, like you're going to meet people. If you don't meet people in your building, you're going to meet super neighbors. And then it's almost like the super neighbor community. It's kind of like a mastermind, which is like a Napoleon Hill thing. Is like a like personal development, like success author, where basically like mastermind, you know, you get a lot of people together and like their insights and wisdom and stuff kind of like circulates and collaborates together, and it makes like the collective success of everyone else like better than it would have been if those individuals just tried to do things by themselves. So like the super neighbor community is almost like a mastermind of like neighbors. And so like if you don't meet people in your building, you're going to meet other super neighbors. But also like if you're struggling to build a chat within your group or within your building, you're also going to meet other people who have done it successfully and be able to like kind of share and collaborate with best practices of how you can do it too. So like basically you're going to meet other super neighbors, and then you also might get insights on how you can grow your own community too. And so,
Totally.
regardless, like it's going to be valuable for you. So if you want to meet people, like that's absolutely going to be accomplished by becoming a super neighbor. So if that's what you're going for, I would just do it. And then additionally, the people that you meet also are likely going to be like-minded as you are, in that they want to build strong, empowering communities that bring people together for really cool and fun things as well. So like all of that, like I would just do it.
Like, just do it.
Yeah, like
You
just do it.
You
Yeah.
do. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Matt. I'll link to the things that you mentioned. Stay for a second because I want to say one thing for you, but we'll do
Sure.
it. Not recording.
Yeah.
Lovely to chat with you.